Hi, this is Andy from GPS Training. In this video we're going to show you how you fit the TwoNav RAM compact bike handlebar mount. This is so that you can mount your Aventura 2 Plus GPS device onto your bicycle bars. It could be a mountain bike, a hybrid, a road bike, an e-bike, but it's just a nice secure mount to go on your bicycle bars. So the first thing we're going to show in the video is how you assemble all these bits that you get in the packet with the RAM compact bike mount, and then we'll show you it fitted on the bars of my mountain bike. Now the first thing we're going to do is measure our bars, which I've actually already done. So in the instruction sheet that you get from TwoNav with the RAM instructions, you get this little sheet that you cut out of the instructions, and basically with this sheet you wrap it around your bars. I'll just use my finger as an example on my thumb. So you put the bit that says a line edge on the top of your bars and you just wrap the paper around, and then you look at what zone it's in. So mine's actually on the short zone. My bars are a 31.8mm diameter, so that is in the short zone. Again, you're just going to put that on your bars, the little black line on the top of your bars, and you just wrap the paper around, and then where it joins up you see which zone it's in, short, medium or long. And then either using a Stanley knife, or we've actually got a sharp set of scissors, we're going to cut this first piece here. This is the first bit on the instructions. So actually when you look at this piece where the hinged bits are, it's actually got underneath the diameter of the bars. So the short one is the 3¼ inch to 1¼ inch. So that would be the 1¼ would be my 31.8mm bars. You've got to be careful, you're cutting it above the hinge. So that would be the short, that would be the medium, and if it's the long, you're not cutting it when you've done your measurements. So I'm going to cut it above the hinge here for the short. So we've got a nice sharp set of scissors. Obviously if you're using a Stanley, just be careful and have something that you're not going to damage underneath when you're cutting. And I'm just going to carefully cut this along the top of the hinge, just so we've got this as the short length. So that is that now cut, and I'm going to move these bits out of the way. Now what we've discovered from our own testing, on the instructions, the next bit they tell you to do is to attach this rubber adhesive strip onto the plastic strip. We found if you've done that, it makes it very hard when you're trying to attach the plastic strip to the piece that's going to go on your bars. So we recommend 100% don't stick that on yet. You're going to do the next bit. We're going to miss a stage out of the instructions and then come back and attach that rubber. So what we're going to do is take this piece here. So this is the bit that's actually going to sit on your bars, and you can see it's got the hollow for the RAM connection on the back there. So with this turned this way around, we're going to take the metal bar, it's got the metal bar here, and this piece here we're going to turn round, and you can see how that sits in. And when we turn it round, you can see you've got the holes on either side. That's where we're going to put the bar through. So I'm just going to take the metal bar initially. I'm going to push down with my thumb, putting lots of pressure on the back of this plastic, and put the bar in. So I'll just get that slotted in. And then what we'll do, once that's in so far, I'm going to push it in. And then when we get it nearly all the way in, I'm just going to turn this around. I'm going to keep pressure pushing down on this piece here. And we're actually going to use, now they say a flat screwdriver, but I think would be better using something a bit more rounded. We don't want to slip with something sharp and damage ourselves. So I'm just going to use, I've actually got an Allen key here. So I'm just going to use an Allen key and push the metal bar down, and you just got to push it down till you feel it going into the hollow. So just see if that's actually went in. I know this is very tight when we've tried this before. What I might do is actually just try it from the other side, just see if that works a little bit better. So I'm just going to do it from the other side and actually push down. Ah, that's better. So doing it from the right hand side. It's interesting, the instructions say the left hand side, so it's actually better doing it from this right hand side. And I can see now that's locked in place and it's not going to pull out. So I think doing it from the right hand side is what improved that. So I'll ignore the instructions where it says left hand side. So now we've got this rubber strip, which you can see it's actually got a couple of slots here which are going to line up here. So it's going to sit on this piece here. So we need to actually cut this to length. So as we go up, we can see where it's going to go. It's basically going to come to the top here where we're going to cut it. So I could just mark that or use my scissors just to do a little snip where I need to cut it. So I'll just line that up and then I'll get the scissors. I should have really had a pencil or a pen just to have marked it. But we'll be able to see if I just move that to the side there, I can see there where I want to cut it. So I'll just do a little snip and then take this away. And I'm just going to cut it slightly shorter and just slightly under my line so it's not too big. And just do a nice straight cut there. Again, I could have marked that with a pen, might have been easier. And then we'll just check that's going to line up okay. So there you can see that's going to stick on nicely. So it's got some 3M tape on the back. So we're just going to peel off the backing tape. There we go. And these slots will push through when you put it in place. So I'll just line that up. See the little slot it lines up with, push it down, and then you should be able to push through these rubber bits here. I'll just see if I can peel them off. You'll see there they will pull away just so the grooves come through. So I'll just get them off first before we push it down nice and firm, just to make sure that's stuck down. So again, just make sure it's nice and firm and stuck down. So that's that bit done. I'll just move these bits out the way and then we'll do the second part of it. So we're now going to stick onto the back of this piece this little bit of rubber that's just going to help it lock nice and securely in a tight fit when it's on the bars of the bike. So I'm just going to peel the 3M tape off the back, and this bit of rubber just sits in the hollow here. You will find once it's actually pushed onto your bike bars, that will sit in a little bit better. So I'm just going to give it a firm push down and just rub that in to the hollow there. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it's sticking in straight away, but once it's on your bars, that's going to be fine. So the next bit is to assemble this ball joint. Now, when we've done a few of these in test, we did have a couple of problems with the ball joint being quite tight. So we're going to give you a few little tips here to assemble the ball joint. So the first thing we recommend is this ram mount. Initially, we had actually fitted it to the back of the cradle. I've just actually put the bolts in here that come in the packet just for safekeeping. But we found if you fit it on there and then you need to attach the ball joint, it needs an awful lot of pressure to push it in. And we were worried that we were going to break the cradle. So what we've actually done, I've got one already done and I'm just going to show you. So with the little ball joint, you take one of these rubber washers and it goes in to the ball joint. The other washer is going to go into this side here on the actual mount with the strap. So I'm actually just going to put that in there. And now this ball joint, what we had to do is take a small hammer and just gently tap it in to this piece here by tapping down on the top to get it in place, because it is very tight, because of course you don't want it to come out easily and be loose. So I've actually got one already ready where we've actually tapped it in on the floor using a hammer before we actually attach it to the back of the cradle. So I'll just move this bare one out the way. So this is one I've already got ready. So we just tapped on the top with a small hammer gently till you actually feel it, you feel it click in place. You hear a little click as it locks in place. So it should be tight. So you can see that is really tight on the back. You've got slight movement so it can adjust the angle of the device, but it is nice and tight. We're now going to bolt this on the back of this. Actually, I'll tell you what I might do. I'm just thinking, I'm just going to see how easy it'll be if I actually push this down on here first and then put the bolts through. I think that might be easier just the more I think about it, thinking how tight it was to go in this end. So I'm actually going to just take this here and I'm going to push it down into the ball joint here where we've actually put the rubber washer. I think that'll be easier than it on the unit, and then we'll actually bolt it onto the unit. So that was a bit easier than actually doing the other one. So I've heard that click into place. Now what I'm going to do is bolt this on here. So I'm just going to take these two screws, nut and bolts off the back. I just put these here for safekeeping. So you do get this in the packet with the device. And we'll just show you how we put these in. I'll just take them out so it's as it was in the packet. So basically what you're going to do is the cradle is going to sit on the mount here, and we're just going to put the bolts through each of the front of the cradle here, and then the nuts on the other side with a washer. So I've actually got an Allen key, because it is an Allen key bolt, and I've got a set of pliers actually just to grip the bolts on the end. So I'm just going to grab those from the other side of the room, and then we'll get this one fitted. So I'm just going to put this on here, put the bolt in, so the bolt goes in that side. We'll just do one at a time. Get the washer on and get the little nylock nut on. I'll just tighten it by hand to get it so far on. It has got a nylock rubber strip, so you won't be able to tighten it by hand. You will need a set of pliers. And then I'll just put the other one in so we don't lose it. So again, just push that through so it lines up on the back. Hopefully you can see that lined up there. And put the washer in and get the nylock nut on. And then we'll tighten this up, and then we're ready to actually mount it on the bar. So all I'm going to do is turn this round. I'll get the right Allen key out. So I've got a set of Allen keys here. So there's going to be a fairly small one, which I should have on my little set of bike Allen keys here. I'll just get this round. So that should be the right one, he says. Let's just get this round again. I've got various different options here, so I know one of these is definitely going to be the right one. I have already fitted one of these before. Just get this right. So many different choices of Allen keys. Not having much luck here, and I definitely, I can see it hiding away there. That's my fault, that's the one. And then I'll take the pliers, and we'll just get the pliers and grip the nylock nut on the back, and then we'll just screw that in nice and tight, and then we're ready to mount it on the bike. So it does a bit of assembly to get this mount together, but once it's together, it's a lovely, sturdy, secure mount, and it's going to fit your Aventura 2 onto the bars of your bike. I've actually brought my mountain bike in today, so I'm actually going to fit it on the bars of my mountain bike. So I'll just lock them up so they're tight. With it having that little nylock sort of blue washer inside the nut, it means once it's on, they're not going to vibrate off. It keeps it on nice and tight. So we'll just move those to one side. So that is that all now assembled now. So what we'll do is we'll pause the video, and then we'll come back with the bike in view. And what you're going to see me is just bend this round the bars of the bike, and we'll thread this through, and then it'll lock on the bike like so. So we'll come back on the bike just to show you that fitted on the bars. So now that we've got the mount assembled, we're now going to fit it onto the bars of my mountain bike. What I've done is actually taken one of the spare bits of rubber. When we snipped the adhesive on the back here, we actually had a spare piece. So just to make it a bit more secure and give me a bit more rigidity and width, I've actually stuck on a piece of rubber onto the bars. It's just going to make it a little bit thicker. You may need not to do that if you've got thicker bars than the ones I've got, so I've found that does help. So I'm just going to thread this round, as you can see, and then we're just going to push this bit through, and then what you've got to actually do on the other side is lift this piece up to pull it through, and then you'll hear it click as it starts to come through. So just get that round. Just get that on the top. It's just a little bit awkward when you first get this to come through, and I can just hear a little click there now. So I'm going to get this sort of in the position that I want. I can have a play about once I've got it a bit tighter, and then again I'm going to lift the flap up here, the piece of plastic, and just pull down gently, just gradually pull down until I'm happy that's locked in place. A little bit more just to give it a little bit more of a tug, and then that's now locked in. And by having that extra bit of rubber, it's just made it a tighter fit. I'm now going to take my Aventura 2 and I've got here and slide it in. So it's just, you can see the grooves on the side here. It is tight the first time you slide in, but it will get looser the more you use it. We don't obviously want it to be too loose, so I'm just going to push it down, and then right the way down, it'll lock itself in place. So you just make sure it's nice and tight in there, and that's that now fitted. And if you turn the bike round, you'll see here I've got a little bit of adjustment, so I can adjust it slightly. Still nice and tight there. If I need to, I can just pull on that a little bit more by lifting the flap up and just getting it a little bit tighter, and then that's me ready to go with the Aventura 2 on my bike bars.